All right, let's get started on all channels here. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's start some music while I'm doing this. Something to cover it while we're doing this. All right, thanks for being here today. This is Monday. I believe it's the 7th. Let's see what we got here. Oh, the 5th. It's the 5th of January 2026. So, as some of you know that follow me, that I do a lot on abiogenesis. I do a lot on evolution, or as they call it, biological evolution, macro evolution. And I get a lot of responses. Some of them are from, well, majority of them, especially in the negative, are from atheists and materialists, as it's called, secularists. They're saying hi to several people here. Thanks for showing up. So I wanted to respond and take my time and go over some comments and also relay my response to them. Uh, Make sure we got this going. Recording in progress. All right. Got so much going on. I missed the spot. But thanks everyone for showing up. Appreciate it. Let's get this going. Move this out the way. What is going on? All right. So today's title of this message is Atheists and Their Statements of Faith. You have to listen closely to what people are saying, and then you have to understand and believe. They'll tell you what they believe. So atheists and their statements of faith is today's topic, and I do present them with a dilemma, asking a few questions. They prefer, they prefer the secular scientific method to prove themselves to the world and or to make their stance. There is no God. There is no knowledge outside of the material world. So they put on blinders and say, we're not going to look at anything else. That's the scientific world. So, as an investigator, we look for evidence in a crime and we look for telltale signs of who been where, the footprints, the handprints, the DNA. And I say God has left his footprints, handprints, DNA all over creation. But that's for another video. Let's go ahead and hit this. Atheists and their statements of faith. So I asked a simple question to all those out there in TikTok, YouTube, True Social Land, and others, X and others. Can abiogenesis, and biological evolution be investigated and evaluated using the scientific method? And if so, to what extent? I get a lot of rhetoric. I get a lot of naysaying and jazz strating and postulating all over the place, but I don't get the scientific gospel proof or evidence, as we like to call it. So, going into this a little further, I say, I have been asking atheists and those who believe in abiogenesis the most straightforward question, yet they still fail to answer me. My question is this: can abiogenesis and biological evolution be investigated and evaluated using the scientific method? And if so, to what extent? I think that's pretty straightforward. I think that is pretty direct, but I get a lot of dancing, such as, for some reason, the atheists think that they need to pivot and they take a true statement that there is no God and they say, well, you got to prove God before we going to answer this. No, you don't have to answer it. I move on to the next one. You're solidified yourself, not me. Now I'm solidified in my faith, but it's faith. Faith is a different category, but we'll get into that in a minute. Now, I'd like to tell people, grab your popcorn, sit down as we go into this. They say there is no metaphysical world. They make a true statement, especially a certain atheist on my Substack that I wrote a post for. I'll be sending it out hopefully later today. By saying there is no physical, no metaphysical world, you have made a claim. Now prove your claim. You can't. That is not what science is for. Not today's science in a materialist, secularist world. All right. What I have been getting is attacks and not answers. So I say to them, you can or you do not know how to answer my question. So you attack me, call me names. You're stupid. You believe in this spaghetti monster in the sky. I tell them when you do that, your statement collapses under its own assumptions. They're making a thanks for the love. They're making a statement of fact when they don't have the facts. Thanks for the love. Appreciate it. Hi, everybody. So, first, they claim there is no metaphysical world while at the same time making a metaphysical claim. It's ridiculous. You say there is nothing beyond this, but you cannot prove it using your criteria. You tell me, prove it in this material world of the thoughts and mind of God when you cannot disprove it. Declaring that only material explanations are valid is itself a metaphysical position. It is not scientific. It is not a scientific conclusion. It is a theoretical rule imposed on science. Science describes physical processes. It does not. It cannot rule on what can or cannot exist beyond those physical realms. It does not. It cannot. And the reason I'm here is to get to those that have been indoctrinated in ignorance of science. Saying only the material is real is not an experiment. that they can test, that they can validate. It is their flawed worldview. That is all it is. It's a worldview that crumbles on its own examination. They say, prove God exists. And then I go to their founding belief, because they need a belief system, and they have one. They believe nothing came, they believe something came from nothing. Then that something, which was non life, created all the life that we see today. It's called abiogenesis and macroevolution. Second, they say this, which is very silly, that they demand that God must be shown in the same way as a chemical reaction. Clearly, they misunderstand each category. God, by definition, is not a physical object inside the universe. Demanding a physical demonstration of a non physical claim is a category error in which they make many. It's like demanding a ruler measurement of justice, love, of consciousness. So if I turn around and say, weigh love for me, weigh justice, how much does it weigh? What is its measurements? They don't seem to grasp, but yet they call us the imbeciles. Those are real, which is justice, love, and consciousness. Those are real, yet they are not test tube objects. They're not measured in the material world. Their reality is established by rational, philosophical, and experimental existence, not laboratory synthesis. You cannot make them, you cannot test them, you cannot produce them in a laboratory. Now, we come to their favorite, natural selection, which only explains variation within a kind, within a species. But that is their historic goalpost. That's the creme de la creme. All right. Abiogenesis and macroevolution are not settled facts, which they believe, many, in the way gravity or thermodynamics are. They are research programs built around unresolved core problems that exist to today. And I made a video earlier, late last week on, and I will do it again. Darwin from Darwin to DNA, and we'll go over that again for those that may have missed it. The origin of life has never been produced in a lab or demonstrated. No laboratory has ever produced a living cell, nor have they produced a coded genetic information or a self-replicating biological system from non-life, non-living chemicals. George Ward, Francis Crick, and Eugene Koonin and Paul Davies have all acknowledged in print that the origin of life remains unexplained, and in Crick's word, that it appears at the moment to be almost a miracle. That is not ignorance. That is the scientific, that is on scientific record, as these scientists clearly making a statement on something that the average atheist, the average person that believes in evolution or micro or macro evolution don't understand or know. Yet I am sure that you have as I was talking to one of the atheists, a greater claim in science than those men, right? We all know the internet atheist knows everything but understands very little. But my job is to proclaim the truth and to educate those that are willing to engage in a a truthful debate and a logical examination of what is real and what is not, and what are the possibilities in the metaphysical world. Now, they say belief in God is a cult of a imaginary friend. They want to lambaste us in that sort of way. That's fine. That's up to them. Now, natural selection explains variation after life already exists. So first off, you're already on first base. You're already swung at the ball of creation, origin of life, and knocked it out, at least into the field, to get you on first base. You can't get there through science. Science don't have a clue. Natural selection explains variation after life already exists. It does not explain the origin of life. It does not explain the origin of the genetic code or the origin of consciousness. Treating it as it does is a theoretical extrapolation, not an experimental demonstration. Their extrapolation then functions as their real metaphysical move in their position. So they accuse us of going into metaphysical world as they go into the metaphysical world to explain their natural selection and origin of life, because they don't understand the categories. I like to say that materialism is ruled by assumptions. The scientists in their materialistic world, which is limited and blindfolded, as I will go from Darwin to DNA, show it's money, money, money. Follow the money, follow the money, and you see what really drives science today. It's a circle jerk. To get into school, you must follow this imaginary belief in abiogenesis, evolution. You get into school, you reinforce, and you're gatekeep. Gatekeepers keep you in the cycle. Then, while you're there, if you go into the higher credentialing is gatekeep. Then you go into the funding. Funding is gatekeep by those that are in the system, are in the mindset. It's a continuing um, conveyor belt. It's like if you was to go into the Mormon church and try to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, they'll throw you out. That is the same stance that the atheist, materialistic, secular world has with education. Circular logic, a lot of assumptions. This must have been, this could have been, this should have been. And the old phrase, well, we hear, so therefore abiogenesis had to occur at some point in time. That's their stance. Labeling belief in God, they sometimes do it as a cult, or, you know, worshiping our imaginary friend is not an argument. It is rhetoric. It is actually avoiding addressing the actual theoretical questions, which are where did biological information come from? Using information theory, that's science. Using system theories, that's science. And I hope to be doing some more videos on those. Where does a rational mind exist in a material world? Why do objective moral obligations exist? There's something beyond us. Why these certain rules? Love thy neighbor as you love thyself. Why? They only come back with assumptions and circular arguments again. Why does mathematics map reality so precisely throughout? You go the farthest you go into the human genome, DNA, atoms, they map out mathematically. The furthest you go into the universe, structures and everything map out perfectly. Why? 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 This is random. This is accidental. No. Even an explosion you can map out in a mathematical way, knowing the physics. So their stance on materialism does not answer these questions. It assumes, and then it reassumes. It assumes them anyway. So the irony is this: they assume others, they accuse, excuse me, others of metaphysical beliefs while standing entirely on an unproven metaphysical foundation of their own. Abiogenesis, biological evolution. Their belief that matter is all that exists, that information arose from non information, and that reason emerged from non reason. This is not science. This is their faith in the lab coats that produce these assumptions. Again, materialism is ruled by assumptions. So this is my conclusion. Thanks everyone. Please like, please share, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think, good, bad, or indifferent. God bless you.